they didn't want to be out here in the sticks if anything went wrong. They were heartbroken to be leaving, he said, and assured us that they'd had 35 wonderful years in the cottage. Yes, 35 wonderful years, Mrs. Jenkins repeated after him, like a woman used to being little more than her husband's obedient echo. They took us on the usual awkward tour of the house, too many people trying to squeeze into the narrow hall and landing. The bumbling confusion. After you. No, after you. At every doorway. As we went from room to room, I could feel Mr. Jenkins's stare return to me again and again, trying to work out how a shy middle-class girl had come to get those nasty scars on her face. I was relieved when they took us out through the kitchen and into the back garden, so that I could drop back and avoid his prying blue eyes. Mr. Jenkins was an expert gardener, and he was determined we should know it. We trudged behind him around the back garden while he showed off his fruit trees, his vegetable patch, and his 2 sheds. They were the cleanest, most organized sheds I'd ever seen. Every tool hung from its own hook. Even their gardening gloves had their own pegs, labelled Jerry and Sue. He showed us his fetid compost heap, exclaiming proudly, "Here she is, my pride and joy," and took us down the row of cypresses he'd planted when they first moved there. The trees now towered more than 10 meters high, and as he expounded on the health of their bark, I peered cautiously through the thick foliage. Beyond them was nothing but the dun-coloured furrows of the farmers' fields, stretching away into the distance. Mr. Jenkins was especially proud of his front garden. The wide lawn, shaved as close as a bowling green, was bordered by innumerable plants and shrubs which still showed patches of bright colour here and there, in spite of it being the dead of winter. "It's important to have some winter bloomers," he told Mum, "and plenty of perennials, or else you lose all your colour during the winter." Mum, trying to change the subject, said she didn't know very much about gardening, but Mr. Jenkins took this as an invitation to repair the gap in her education, there and then. He began a long lecture on the different types of soil. "Now this soil," he said, "is a chalky soil. It's a little dry, a little hungry. It needs a lot of farmyard manure, garden compost, turf." I wandered away, unable to listen to him as he churned on and on. "Leaf mould, artificial fertilizer, limestone strata." I thought I heard him say dried blood at one point, but decided I must have misheard. I kept walking, the irritating voice fading to a dull murmur behind me, until I found my path blocked by a large oval rosebed cut in the centre of the lawn. The roses had been pruned back ruthlessly and seemed to raise their amputated stumps to heaven in protest. The whole bed had a forlorn look. With its great mound of turned-over soil, it reminded me of a freshly dug grave. Looking around at the other plants and shrubs in the garden, I realized I knew the names of hardly any of them. If I was going to be a writer, surely that was something I should put right. Writers always seem to know the names of flowers and trees. It helped to make them sound more authoritative, more godlike. I made up my mind that the first thing I'd do when we moved in, because I already knew from the dreamy look on Mum's face that this was going to be our new home, would be to learn the names of every flower and tree in the garden, their common names and their Latin names. When I came back to Mum's side, Mr. Jenkins was unable to keep his curiosity at bay any longer. "And what happened to you, my dear?" he asked, indicating with a vague wave of his hand that he was referring to my scarred face. Mum instinctively pulled me close to her and answered for me. "Shelley had an accident at school." Chapter 2. Mum bought Honeysuckle Cottage with her share of the money from the divorce. Her mouse's share. My dad, a family lawyer, believe it or not, had left us 18 months earlier for his secretary, a girl an incredible 30.